I've been sitting here wondering how I wanted to start this video, and we're just gonna chop it up and we're gonna say we had a bad day. I mentioned it earlier. Um, I Today's Thursday, so the last video I posted was me being excited on Tuesday. We finally got the salon painted, and we were putting up the mirrors and everything. So you saw some of the videos we had that night. It was fun. It was long, but it was good. And then Tuesday rolls around. Well, sorry, that was Tuesday. Wednesday rolls around, and basically, when I started making all these videos, I was kind of like trying to dear diary it, track myself, look back one day and just be like, hey, all these are the things that I did. Look how proud I am of myself. It's literally been a month. I got keys myself on November 1st, but as far as contractor and the things that we have accomplished, it's really been, my contractor started technically his first day where he actually got to be here to start to do things was the Monday before Thanksgiving. So it's been 3 weeks on the turnaround of anything that you've seen so far in my videos. And so I'm very, very proud of that. I haven't got to obviously video every step of the way. I've had to do a lot of running in errands and things like that. But I've tried to kind of hit the main points of just things that I didn't feel like people, like even when I would watch videos, I didn't see, which was just the little steps, the like, hey, talking to an accountant, hey, what's the struggle when you're thinking about how many people do I even need to work in a place in order to make it profitable before I even want to do it in the first place, because it doesn't make sense to own something for other people to work there if you don't at least break even. So all those little struggles and things that I started with at first. So this video is not going to be any different. This is not a bashing video. This isn't anything to complain about, on the sense that there are things that happen during I'm assuming any type of process, whether it's a house or business or anything like that, that you don't expect. You get curveballs, and this is just going to be one of those. So I was on a high because everything was looking good, and I got a curveball. And I'll be frank, it was just the fact that you plan everything that you want to do, and then you run into things that might be something you didn't expect you have to pay for, or you might change your mind on something. Those are obviously things that you talk to your contractor about, and then they let you know, like, okay, well, that'll actually subtract from the budget if we don't have to do that, and then, oh, that'll add to the budget. Well, this, again, it's not a bashing video, it's just a miscommunication. When you start out and you walk through a place, and we write down everything that needs to be done, and which is what I did with my contractor, laid everything out, and then from there, I was lucky enough because mine trusted me, and it's not trust that can't be with anyone else. It was just the fact that he knew that he knows me, so he knew that me and my husband had done some demo, and we've redone a lot of the things in my house. So when it came to some of the things that weren't needed to be something kept to code or done by a specific licensed person, we wanted to try to do those to save cost. So me and Scotty, you saw, we did the demo. I've laid floors when I was able to. We've just, I mean, we built all of our furniture, anything that we could, trim, different stuff like that. Everything in here, other than plumbing, electrical, and like the hanging of the drywall and finishing, we were going to do. I had some family friends come in, not family friends, but family members come in to do the painting because we've just been exhausted, and they are amazing and they did it so fast. So we finally were just like, we're not going to do that. So anyway, long story short, I in having everything go good, and because I did a lot of the things that I thought, hey, that's gonna save us some money on the end of everything. Um, I was like, when electrical came in, there were a few things that I wanted to add, or that I thought to add. And unlike housing electrical, where things, it's not, you don't really think about like, oh, I'm going to add a receptacle here, and oh, that can, these are already built, so we don't have bare walls. Most people already know that, but it's I definitely understood the fact that it was going to be, there's a more expense when you're trying to take, a receptacle and uh, run it and put it somewhere else and things like that. But the miscommunication on this project was simply from me to the contractor, in knowing what we wanted to do starting off. The contractor to the electricians, they, like, from my understanding, I had basically thought what the budget that they were, in a sense, agreeing to was everything that I had talked to my contractor about, which in this building, you're going to see the salon. In this room in particular was the room that had the most going on. So the salon itself, this whole wall here, was a half wall, and then that was not even there. So all of this basically had to have new electrical done. And we went through, and I've worked in a salon before, so I knew that, hey, everyone has different equipment that they like to use, so let's make sure every station has their own breaker. So they're only going to trip what they're using. One person can be running something and end up making someone else have to stop working because they've overpowered the breaker, and in the middle of, their client. So things like that. Everything was discussed beforehand. So for the most part, that's normal. But these little expenses that, I say little expenses, but these things that came up were things that, to me, it obviously probably didn't seem like it was much. This used to be a bank, so we have fluorescent lights all over in the halls. So with these lights, they had some security lights, which meant that you could turn every single outlet off, and there would be two up front at the least, and two in the back that would stay on. So one of the things that I was like, hey, why don't we get all the lights put on the same thing, and we can turn them all off, and then at night, so the lights are on. So that's an added thing, was not something I discussed beforehand. And then once I saw everything was going smooth, and again, I thought I was saving money on the other end of things, I was like, hey, I'm actually got a storage closet. I could use a couple of receptacles in there. Let's put some electricity in there. So we added that, and then we kind of ran into the fact that when we were building the back room, the fluorescent lights, one needed to be moved. That was when we ran into that, just it had to be rewired to be separate from everything else, and it just so happened the one light that needed to be rewired goes it was the one that connected 3 other ones in different ways. So then you have to rewire all of everything differently because the one that we need needs to be in that room and it needs to be on its own. So those are the things, those are the growing things that, like, okay, in my head they add up and I'm like, okay, well they would, I guess something just fell. Freaked me out. I guess the part that not knowing is I should have asked. I should have asked and asked and asked, what does that cost me? How much time do you think will take? Because the electricians, I pay them by is they're getting paid by the hour. So I should ask, if you're adding something, what's that seem like to you? How long will it take you to do that? How big of that is? And I did not do that, so that's on me. This is not, again, this is not a blame on anyone else but myself because I didn't know to ask. In my head, I guess I kind of thought, like, oh, if it's a large number, they would be like, oh, Meg, like, um, just so you know, that's like a big expense. They don't do that because they just do what you ask them to do. So hindsight's 2020. I'm not gonna say I didn't have a bad day. Obviously, I didn't want to film or do anything with it yesterday, but I did want to be honest and I wanted to, like, talk about this because I'm sure that other people run into a whole lot more. I'm always I'm not perfect at being glass half full, but I really, really try. I really, really try to be like, hey, let me sit with it. Let me, like, things happen. You have to keep going regardless, but let me sit with it. Let me not say something in the moment. I talked to, obviously, I got a statement and it was, I'll be honest, it was over three times the budget. And so to me, first thing you think of when you see that is like, holy crap, like that's not anything of what I had discussed. And in my head, my first thought was to jump to, like, what did I add? I didn't feel like I added much. That's where in my head it straight goes. But I also, again, I needed to sit with it and I needed to think about, okay, to me that might not be much, but to them that's more work. That's takes longer. They have to do it. I'm not gonna say I didn't vent and get angry in the moment and be like, what the crap, and find my person, because everyone has a person, and we vent to them and we're like trying to figure things out in our head, and we just need to kind of be in a moment to be confused and angry. And I did. But I'm not sitting here making this video going like I'm not upset. I'm upset, but the only person I can be upset with is myself because I didn't ask the question. I didn't ask more. I didn't try harder to look into being like, hey, they've had to be here for a while, or I didn't know how long a while was, for them to think like, what's that ticking clock mean? In my head, I thought they're paid to do the allotted amount of things, not per hour. Again, that's me not knowing that. So one, I should have asked the question and I should have asked my contractor. And that's a huge difference too. I'm sure there's some people who have electricity or plumbing paid for, and it's just something that you should figure out. Hey, am I paying that person by the hour, or am I paying them an allotted sum to finish this project? Therefore, if I add something, I need to ask them, what's that going to cost? Instead, in my particular situation, I should have said, how long is that going to take? Because that's paying it. That is where I could have added up, okay, now I'll know how much that is actually costing me if I really need to do it now, or if I could have waited and done it later. And as my father-in-law would say, we need to get you in and get you started. And he's right. You don't have to have everything done up front. And I know that. I've really tried in my entire career to be like, let me start small. And when I say I started in a closet, I always say it's funny because I started in a closet, but like it was a small room and it was enough. It was absolutely enough to start what I needed to do, to build clientele, to take every paycheck and buy one thing more that I needed, um, that was useful, that was purposeful, that was of good quality, not buying the cheaper things and using that until it breaks and then never really investing in the better thing. I really did take my steps with this project. You get excited and you're like, you forget those things that you implemented at the beginning of your entire career that got you to this place. And I forgot that, and that's okay, but it's also a learning pain. And yeah, so I had a bad day yesterday, but things have to be done. Electricity has to work. You have to pay people what they're owed because they did the work, so they were owed what they're getting paid. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't suck. Doesn't mean that that doesn't turn where in a happy day into a bad one. But it's done now. We're moving forward. The salon is done to an extent. I would definitely want to decorate more. I know I said that the other night. But I'm very minimalistic to an extent. I would like to grow into something. So I do feel like I'm looking and I'm like, oh, there's some bare things. Like I'm staring at it right now while I'm talking to you guys. I'm like, this wall right here, I want to put something. I don't know if I want a writing. I don't know if I want something that goes all along the top. I could just put some decorations up top of these little cabinets for the towels. I just have a few little art pieces. I've got one at home I need to bring in. But especially over here, I'm like, things just look a little bare. Obviously, product will go here. It'll brighten it up. We can put some things up top. But I just love these little pictures. I'm a black and white person. But this one, I had to. I mean, come on. It's my colors. Well, it's got pink, but that's okay. Pink's okay sometimes. So, yeah. This is a long Debbie Downer video, but it's an honest video. It sucks to have to pay more than you think that you're going to pay, especially when you do a whole lot of work to try to be like, oh, I'm going to have to pay less. But when in doubt, if I wouldn't have done all that work and done all the other things, and Alan, my contractor, he's been amazing. So again, this is one of those where it's like, hey, it's a communication thing. You have to own that. You have to just take responsibility for the fact that I asked them to do more than what was at the beginning, and that's on me, and I have to sit with it, and I will. But Alan's been amazing. To have a contractor that will let you help and work and you're not in the way and will answer all your questions and be annoying and listen to you change your mind about something. He's been so patient. He's been doing it for a long time, so maybe he's good at it because of that, but I think it's just because he's a really good guy and amazing human being. So I'm very grateful for him. But yeah, that's my video tonight. I'm gonna do one more because this is a downer and I want to do like a little brief walkthrough of the back because you haven't seen the back in a while. So I'm gonna end this one, and if you want to see another one, I will post one here in a minute. Bye.